Good morning. It is WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide we're at country.am. Tim Radford here with you on the radio, on TV, and on Facebook Live, and on our website as well, and internet streaming. By the way, if you have the Amazon Alexa, I noticed the other day when I said, Alexa, play WKRK, it played the wrong WKRK. There's another station with the same call letters up in Ohio. So if you're on Alexa, you may have to say, Alexa, play WKRK Murphy to get the right station. So I just want to let people know in case you thought that we changed to a sports format up north. We have not. So good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
It is a Friday. Are you happy?
Is. And I heard through the grapevine it might rain this week. So
I've heard there may be a drop or two of rain.
We've got some rain for the last few days.
I was so tickled too because, in here I keep the blinds are drawn. It saves energy that way, I believe.
Yeah.
But I saw on the security camera there was some blue sky a few minutes ago, but now it's back to clouds.
Right.
But all right, how you doing? Have
I'm
you had a
doing
good busy week?
Yeah, it has been a busy week. We have been having a lot of calls this week. It's kind of been a little busier than normal. I told somebody, I said, I think what happened, the rain kind of kept everybody in, and we didn't have a whole lot going on there for a couple of days, and then just all of a sudden it exploded. And then it was like call after call yesterday, and
I noticed that when it was raining, I was on my best behavior, and
Right.
I didn't commit a single crime that I'm aware of.
Right. That's a good thing. Didn't catch you at it anyway, did it?
That's right.
So, but yesterday was very busy. We had everyone we had working tied up yesterday. I was out answering calls. I know the chief deputy was out answering calls, and it was just one after another all day yesterday. And but that's the way it is, I guess. Sometimes you have heavy days, some days you have light days. But we have been busy. One of the big things that's been going on in our county over the last little bit is you're well aware, is theft that's going on. Primarily, we've had a lot of vehicle thefts in the last little bit, but I've got some numbers here for you. A lot of people have been asking about it, want to know kind of what's going on with that. And let me explain a little bit before I give these numbers. In our report writing system, everything that has an engine, has a motor that's a conveyance, falls under our code under motor vehicle theft. So when we do a report search for motor vehicle theft, it shows every lawnmower, every four-wheeler, ATV, motorcycle, moped, boat, anything anything that has a motor.
A weed eater?
Well, it's not a conveyance.
Okay.
It has to be a conveyance.
What does conveyance mean?
It means it moves from one place to the other.
With that being
and you
carried.
ride it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it takes you one place to another.
See, I'm learning things
There
today.
you go. So when we run those reports, those show up as everything shows up under that. So I have to manually go through the reports, read the report, find out whether it's an unfounded report or not. And like I say, with vehicle thefts too, also on that you have someone may call in and report their vehicle was stolen, but when you check into it, it wasn't stolen. A family member has it, or your wife went to town to get groceries, those kind of things. And so we have to weed through all those to find out what's actually stolen, what isn't stolen.
I'm guessing it could be repossessed as well.
Could be repossessed. There's a lot of things that could happen with that. So, but what I did is people's been asking us questions about it and how many we've had and what's going on. So I went through the reports yesterday and kind of just went through them by hand and read what I could. And this may not be exactly 100%, but it's going to be pretty close.
Right.
As to what's been going on in the county. From January 1st until yesterday, we've had 19 reports of vehicle thefts. 14 of those 19 have been recovered. So actually 15. I think one was recovered yesterday evening.
What was the time frame, did you say?
From January 1st till yesterday.
Till yesterday.
So a little bit over 8 months.
Okay.
There was 19 reports of theft. 14 had been reported as of yesterday, or recovered as of yesterday. I think there was one that was recovered yesterday evening. So I think we have 15 total now that's been recovered out of 19. But the important thing about this, I want people to understand, is that almost half of these thefts were done by family members or friends. They were people who, whether they were all roommates and in the same house and somebody took somebody else's car without permission, or a family member, a nephew, a niece, a son, daughter, somebody came and took somebody's parents' vehicle or an aunt and uncle's vehicle or something like that without permission. So a lot of these are family-related things. And also, 8 of these 19, back in February and March, we had a rash of thefts by one person. And one person stole 8 of these cars. So
I think I remember posting a few press releases
Right.
about that person.
Right. So this one person stole 8 of these cars, and so that accounts for half the thefts that we've had, and then 6 more of those were family members and friends. So this thing of people just roaming the community and stealing people's cars at craziness, that does happen, and it happens from time to time, but I don't think that the numbers near reflect that of what's actually going on within the county.
Do these numbers also include the town of Andrews and town of Murphy?
These do
departments?
not. These are just ours in the county.
All sheriff's office.
These are just ours, the ones that we work out in the county. Now, Murphy PD, I know they've had a rash of car thefts out of Murphy also. I do not know what their numbers are. They have a different report writing system than ours. Ours is called Sheriff's Pack. Theirs is called Police Pack, and all theirs is in a different system. So
and this goes without saying, does not include the tribal police.
right,
either.
doesn't include tribal police, doesn't include TVA and all those folks. So when you hear about all these thefts that's going on in the area, you hear about all these different jurisdictions. Some of them are out of Polk County, some of them out of Georgia, these type of things. So you hear about all these different jurisdictions. But what we're talking about today is just the sheriff's office jurisdiction. One interesting thing about this also is that we had one car that was stolen twice. So out of this 19, actually you can make that 18 cars because one car was stolen twice.
Must have been a nice car.
Yeah. Actually, it was I don't know that the original theft was actually a theft or not. It was reported as a theft. But when it was recovered and put in the impound lot, then somebody broke into the impound lot and stole out of the impound lot. It wasn't ours. It was a towing company's impound lot, but they actually was stolen out of the impound lot, so it was actually stolen twice. But one good statistic about this, in addition to 15 of these cars being recovered out of the 19, the other good statistic about this is that at least 2 of these vehicles were recovered before the victim even knew they were stolen. And so we had deputies recover at least 2 of these vehicles and notified the victim that their vehicle was stolen, and we had possession of it even before the victim knew they were stolen. So,
were they out of town or didn't look outside in the driveway?
no, it was like things like in the middle of the night. Somebody take somebody's driveway in the middle of the night, and a deputy stop a car, and a person's not able to provide who the owner is or where they got it or that kind of thing, and was able to contact the owners and say, hey, did you let somebody borrow your car? No, my car's in the driveway, but you might want to go check. And no, my car's gone, kind of thing. And
right.
so we were actually able to return 2 cars to people, at least 2 cars, before they even knew that it was stolen. One of the big issues that we do have that leads to this is that we do have people that are repetitive. Like we said, we had that one person that stole 8 of these vehicles. And so, when you go through the bond process and getting out and creating that crime again, sometimes it's very frustrating, not just for the public, but it's also frustrating for us because we kind of know who's doing the thefts, who's stealing the cars and other things. And then when they get out of jail, they do it again all over again.
So just curious, the guy who stole 8 of these,
right?
Is he in jail right now or out on the streets?
He is currently out right now.
He's currently out.
Currently out.
And I know that does frustrate a lot of people because...
Right. Yeah.
I'll just stop there.
I know. I will too.
I'll just stop there.
I won't say a whole lot more about that, but that is a situation there that we have to deal with continually about that. But one thing I do want to say today as we're talking about this is I want to talk to people about the situation here, about the thefts and things that's going on. And we can prevent a lot of these things from happening by doing just some common sense type things. One of the things that we, believe it or not, have to remind people of is don't leave your vehicles or don't leave your keys in your vehicle. Most of the thefts that have occurred that was legitimate car thefts from strangers that took someone's car without their permission from town, from Murphy, from parked in the county somewhere, more often than not, the people leave their keys in the vehicle.
It just makes it a crime of opportunity at that point.
Oh, it is. And their vehicle unlocked, So when you have people that may be on drugs or people that are homeless or people that don't have conveyance from one way or to another, and they see an opportunity sometimes they get in these cars and they drive them off to get to a certain point, and then they just park them and leave them. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the reasons why we were able to recover the vast majority of these cars, is because that we find them parked somewhere, or people park them in a driveway or on the side of the road, or we may catch them in the vehicle, but more often than not, they drive them from point A to point B and they just leave them there. We have had a few vehicles that's not been recovered that we can't, not been able to locate. Some's been gone for a long time and we've never located them. Sometimes these cars do go to chop shops. They go to out of state. They go traded for drug deals and things of that nature. And so sometimes that we don't recover the cars and they don't happen. But more often than not, in our area, we're finding them local somewhere, parked in a back road, side road, or somebody's driveway.
Right.
Then we're able to go back and make those arrests at that point. One thing I do want to say about that is, in addition to not leaving your keys in the vehicle and not leaving your car unlocked, but when you go to the store or to the gas station or something like that, don't leave your car running. That is also another big opportunity for people, is when they see vehicles running with the keys in them and the person runs in the store for just a minute. Or even a lot of times in your driveway, if you live next to a highway or a public access area, sometimes just running in your house for just a minute, leaving your car running in the driveway, is just enough time to give somebody that opportunity to take your vehicle. So we want to make sure that we don't do that.
I've always locked my door since I was 16, had the first car there. And for folks who don't lock your car doors, I just want to say this. You may end up with my mom sitting in your passenger seat, because I can tell you 4 or 5 cars at least she's gotten into the wrong car thinking it was her car because it was similar color.
Right.
And we're like, Mom, you drive a small car. That's a large car.
Right.
But it's the same color.
Right. It's the
so
same color.
You might end up with my mom in your car if you don't lock the door. So please lock your door.
Right.
So my mom doesn't get confused.
The other thing about a safety tip on this I do want to mention also is about not leaving valuables in your car. You know, a lot of times that people will get out of their car and they're going to a store, or they'll go somewhere, or maybe park and ride someone else, and they leave valuables in plain view in the front seat, or maybe leave cell phones or iPads or something like that out, or some type of tablet, or even their pocketbooks. A lot of times they leave setting out in plain view. And even though that setting your pocketbook in the back seat or setting it, behind the driver's seat, or those things, a lot of times may not necessarily make it secure. But if it's not in plain view, sometimes that people don't take the time of trying to break into vehicles and stuff too, if they don't see it.
And if you have a truck with an open bed, don't leave like a brand new weed eater on the back of it for people to just walk by and pick up.
Yeah, one of the things we have as far as thefts from vehicles is we have like things on back of trucks, like parasols and weed eaters and those type of things, gas. Different things that people just leave sitting in the bed of their truck.
Things that end up on the yard sale sites.
Right. Yeah. And when people talk about trying to find these people when you have weed eaters stolen or parasols or things of that nature, one of the things that I encourage people to do is drive up and down Murphy, Andrews area on any given day of the week and look at the number of trucks driving up and down the road that's pulling lawnmowers and weed eaters and construction equipment and ladders and generators and all those type of things. Unless you have a vehicle description or witness something being stolen, sometimes it's hard to just stop a vehicle and identify a piece of stolen property, because there are so many vehicles driving up and down the road during the day with those type of items on those trucks. So be a little bit precautionary. You want to take the steps that you need to try to prevent the crime from happening. And as we're talking about crime prevention, one of the things that I want to put out there again that we talked about a little bit last week, we talked a little bit about, that I want to reiterate and talk about again, is we've had several people call this week about Community Watch and Community Watch programs. One of the things about Community Watch is literally Community Watch can be anything your community wants it to be. It could be anything from just putting a sign in your yard stating this is a Community Watch program and that people are watching.
Right.
It could be anything from that to doing the other extreme end of it, to having a local crime watch foot patrol team with a watch commander that are literally going out and checking houses, checking businesses, checking those type of things in your community. And it can be anything in between. And so what I encourage people to do, people call all the time and say, how does Community Watch work? Well, what I encourage people to do is if you're interested in doing a community watch, if you're interested in getting involved in that, call the sheriff's office, either speak with me or the chief deputy, and we will schedule a time that we will either you can come to the sheriff's office with your group, we can meet in the conference room and talk about your needs and your situation, or we can come to where you are. If you have a community center that you want to meet in, or just someone's back porch, and have a group of community members come over to your house and sit in your living room or back porch and talk about it, we'll be more than happy to come to where you are and talk about crime watch in your community and community watch programs and how we can facilitate that and what will work and what doesn't work. One of the things that we have done at the sheriff's office for a couple of years now, so a lot of people know about it, some don't, but is the fact that we do a Citizens Academy at the sheriff's office, where you come in and you learn about the sheriff's office and what we do there, and what the sheriff's office is, and how that all operates and fits together. And with that, then you can volunteer at the sheriff's office. You can volunteer with some of these programs and some of these different things that's going on that we're trying to facilitate in our community. So if you want to be a part of that, come to the Citizen Academy. We can set up crime watches in your community, and literally we can facilitate that to whatever your needs may be. If we get these volunteer programs and community watch programs going to where people want to do foot patrols and they want to check businesses and they want to do these things, we can make that happen. We can facilitate that, but there's parameters we have to do that under. We certainly don't want anybody putting themselves in danger. We don't want them being in a spot where they're confronting suspects, or that they're someone breaking into a house or a business and them getting physically involved with it. But the thing about community watch and crime watch programs in general is that the community members through these programs can be our eyes and our ears of what's going on out there. And when they check the businesses and check the homes and check these things, not only does that free up our patrol units from doing those duties, but also it gives them an opportunity of knowing what's going on in their community and reporting that back when something suspicious is happening, or someone's been broken into, or a business has been broken into. Then we can respond as a law enforcement unit at that process to that.
Has there been one this year yet?
Community watch? Yes. We
Citizens Academy.
Oh, the Citizens Academy. They're currently doing one now. They're in the middle of one now, and Roger Williams is the one that heads that up and is doing that. And so he would be the contact person at the sheriff's office for the Citizens Academy. So
I may just have to check that out and join.
Well, that'd be great. I'd love for you to do that. And so if you contact Roger Williams and send him an email or to give him a call, he'll set you up with an application and all those kind of things for the academy. And then we can go from there to scheduling classes and things of that nature. One of the questions that's came up on Facebook as we've been sitting here watching comments come in is about the casino. And a lot of people ask questions about the casino and crime involved with the casino. Has it brought crime to our community? The short answer of that is yes, it has. But again, I try to be cautionary about when I talk about the casino, because it's a very delicate and tricky situation as to try to figure out what crime was caused by the casino, and then what kind of crime would have happened anyway, but people just visited the casino while they were here committing crimes.
It could be a water park. It's just the higher traffic.
Right. Just when you increase the number of people coming to our community, you're naturally going to increase crime at that point. And so what we saw was back in, I think it was December of 2014 or early 2015. I think it was December 2014 is when the casino officially opened and got started. But what we saw happening after that was the immense flow of people coming to our communities. And when we're adding another 10 to 20,000 people coming into our communities, in and out of our communities, then naturally you're going to see crime increase and those type of things happen when that happens. With the casino, of course, what we see a lot of times is people ask about gang activity, mafia type things and all of those. Do we ever see that in our community? And the short answer to that is yes. But what we see with the casino is that we see a lot of times these people who have access to a large amount of money, whether it's your businessman who is legitimate and has that money on the straight up and up, or whether it's gang members who've got that money through drug dealing, or mafia that's doing other criminal enterprise things. We see them coming to places like casinos where they're high money trafficking going on at casinos. And so a lot of those people come into their community, stay here, gamble, do their things here, and then leave our community. And it's not necessarily that we have gangs set up here in Murphy that are committing crimes in Murphy, but we do have those folks come into our area, and inevitably when they come to our area, there will be some crimes committed while they're here. So
all right,
we just need to make sure. Hope that clarifies it and makes it clear as mud, I guess, to a lot of people. But I hope it clarified a little bit.
It does make sense, especially with the just when you get more people into an area. And you said how many people are extra in their area?
Well, it could be any given thing, but typically what we're seeing is the casinos, you have several thousand a day that comes to our area. So over the course of a weekend, you could potentially have an additional 10 to 20,000 people that comes in over the course of a weekend, depending on events that's going on and what the casino's offering those weekends.
Anytime you have extra traffic like that, you're going to have extra crime. You're going to have extra traffic accidents because our roads are going to be busier.
Right.
You're going to have all kinds of, you can have extra people eating at restaurants. So, maybe, so extra money coming into the area, but also the other bad things that go along with it too. So it's a good and bad situation.
And the other thing that happens with that too, and unfortunately with you have casinos, you see this thing happen a lot, is the fact of that people come, they get in debt, they continue to play to try to play themselves out of debt, and then they wind up losing what they came with, and they may be without a vehicle, may be without money, may be without resources. So you see people kind of stranded here.
A little desperate.
And so what you see with those people that's stranded and desperate, that's embarrassed because they've lost their resources and they've lost their money and that thing, instead of reaching out for help or trying to get help, they may potentially commit a crime just trying to get back home or trying to get back to where they came from. And so we do see those type of things happening from time to time also.
So I've got to ask, because Facebook sadly is becoming a full-time job, and I'm having to cut back a lot of my personal page because I just don't have time to keep up with everything, so many messages and notifications. So has Facebook, people's comments and posts, has that added more drama and more fear to this whole situation than really is true?
I think so. I mean, we got to recognize and acknowledge the fact that we do have crime in the area. We do have more people in the area, and we do have different kinds of crime and an increase in crime than what we've had in years past. But still, I think that sometimes we can create a lot more panic, and we can incite a whole lot more fear in people than what is really truly going on out there. We hit times from time to time that you have spikes in crime, breaking and enterings, for example, vehicle theft we've talked about, those type of things. You hit spikes in it where you may have a neighborhood that gets maybe 5 or 10 houses hit in a weekend, right? And so now that was a one-time thing. We arrest the person, we get it under control. But for that neighborhood and that community, they've had a huge crime spike, right? Because they've not had our houses broken into in days past or months past or years past, and now all of a sudden they have 5 or 10 broken into, and it incites fear in that community. But what's unfortunate about that is with social media, when a lot of those things go out, you have those people talking about how awful things are, right, and how terrible and how crime's out of control and all these things that are happening. And sometimes we just incite that fear in other people and incite that around us.
Well, the one thing from my perspective I see this is because when people post on Facebook, they're posting hoping to get people to like or comment on their post. So they're not, besides posting pictures of food, they're not posting boring things.
Right. Well,
they're wanting to get some kind of reaction and, just that interaction with folks, and they post probably things that are probably a little more dramatic than should be.
And people need to also use some common sense, I guess, is a good way of putting it, about some of the posts and things on Facebook. Is people post a lot of things for a lot of reasons. So if say I go to church with you and we had an incident after church and we disagreed on a church function or something of that nature that might happen, or we're neighbors and we got in a disagreement over a property line or whatever it may be. sometimes people will take those bad feelings and those hard feelings, and they will start creating Facebook posts and putting things out there about other things that are going on just for vindictive reasons, or sometimes it's political reasons. Sometimes there's a lot of reasons why people post what they post on there.
Politics on Facebook? No. Say it's not true.
I believe it is, Tim. I think people post things for political reasons a lot of time.
I have some Facebook friends. The only thing they post is something that's political.
Right.
And I was like, surely there's a life besides that.
Yeah. And I have friends, and you have friends. We all know that we have some that just wants to start the conversation. Right. And so they will put something a little bit decisive or divisive, I should say, on there, or something a little bit controversial or something, or say things in a certain way just to get the comments flowing, just to get people talking. And then before you know it, you have all these people out here trying to make comments on things that have little or no experience or little to no facts.
I'm going to create a new hashtag called "Let's Make Facebook Boring Again."
There you go.
Just to calm it down a little bit. Yes.
Well, I tell you what I've done, and so if any of those out there that's Facebook friends or things of that nature, what I have done is I've probably was a part of 50 or 75 groups on Facebook. I went through last night and I left every group that I was a part of. And so if you've added me to a group or been part of a group, I'm no longer part of your group. I've just got out of them. I've left all the groups. And one of the reasons why I did that is every time I was opening my Facebook, I was getting anywhere from 25 to 50 notifications of things popping in, people making comments and saying things on different group pages. And quite frankly, I'm just tired of reading it. I'm just tired of looking at it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure with you probably get tired of being tagged and everything.
Right, I am. I am. Because, a lot of people want to make sure that I know what's going on and what's being said and those type of things out there. But quite honestly, we do the best we can do with the resources that we have. I'm here for the purpose of trying to make our community safe and trying to hire good officers and make sure they're doing the right thing out there, and trying to make sure that we can curb crime and do those kind of things in our community. And I just don't want to be surrounded by all the negativity. Right. I just don't want to be surrounded by people being negative about it.
It can completely bring your mood down.
It can.
And the thing that I'm finding, too, is it can be a huge distraction from your real job.
Right.
You're
trying to combat what somebody says.
Exactly. So I'm also slimming back on the Facebook page.
Right.
I'm still maintaining WKRKs as always, but the personal, it's like I'm just going to slow down a little bit.
Well, also I want to mention one thing just real quick. Somebody in the comments named a page specifically, and I'm not going to talk about any specific pages or anything out there. That's up to the people, the administrators that run them. I'm just not a big fan of any gossip page. I'm just not. I'm just not a fan of people out there to make opinions and comments on things that, like I say, they have little to no facts about.
I'll try to slow down.
or just being negative, just talking bad about people. I just don't like it. I just don't like reading it. Don't like to surround myself with it. And along those lines, when we talk about community oriented things. One thing that I want to let people know that when you're talking about negativity and putting those stuff out there, let's try to be positive, right? Let's try to look at if we are having problems, if we're having problems with theft, if we're having problems with drugs, if we're having problems with breaking and enterings, if we're having problems with things that are out there, then as a community, instead of taking all this time and resources being negative and blasting everybody on Facebook and bad-mouthing everybody and doing all these things, let's take that time and resources to sit down and be positive and try to find solutions to the problems that are happening.
Instead of assigning blame, let's look for solutions.
And I talked with one person. I tell you the truth, I got a little bit of an argument with the person on a personal message about some things they were posting. And one of the things I told them, if you see anything wrong with me, anything wrong with my office, anything wrong with the way we're handling calls or doing things, I invite you, come to the sheriff's office. Let's sit down. Let's discuss what you're upset about. Let's discuss about the way you view things and the way you see it. And if there's better ways of doing it, if there's better solutions, then let's find those better solutions. Let's do it better. Let's do it differently, But what I encourage people to do is try to come with solutions. Try to come with things. And my phone's ringing right in the middle of this. But try to come with solutions and try to come with ways of making our community better. And because that's what we try to do every day. We try to look for ways to make our community better.
Right. And I know when you first became sheriff and you went out to the sheriff's convention out in Raleigh or whatever, and folks had your cell phone number, and and they warned you you're too connected,
right?
And you can kind of see that too.
You
that
can.
You're just way too accessible by too many people, when you just should route everyone through the sheriff's office protocol.
Well, there's good things about it and there's bad things about it. One is, I don't think as a sheriff you should completely cut yourself off from the public,
right?
To where they can't talk to you, where they can't get a hold of you. But also, I would encourage the public to please remember that I still have a family. I still have a personal life. I still have a home.
And you need to sleep at 3 a.m.
Right. And at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's not the time to start sending me messages to want to talk about, what's going on at that point. But did try to deal with those things at the appropriate time and manner for that. I don't mind being accessible to people. I like being accessible to people. But again, I like being myself accessible when people have ideas and solutions and are being positive.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with, and I want to say this also too, there is nothing wrong with, as an elected official, as far as analyzing and criticizing and looking to see what we are doing and how we can do it better. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is your goal? What is your purpose? If your goal or your purpose is to try to tear someone down, and your goal and your purpose is try to destroy someone, then that's the wrong goal and that's the wrong purpose. If your goal and your purpose is try to identify problems and try to come up with solutions and to come up with things to make our community better, hey, that's a good goal.
Absolutely.
That's a good purpose to have, So I encourage people to do that. And I think we just spend way too much time in this life. This life is way too short. We spend way too much time on trying to be negative and tearing people down, and we need to try to make our community better.
All right. Well, our time is 11:38. Anything else you want to add before we close out our program?
No, I just want to say that I appreciate everyone and the encouragement you give me and the hard work of my deputies and what we do at the sheriff's office. And we do tons of things each and every day that the community doesn't know about, in a positive manner, in a positive light. And I've talked about this before when we talk about being positive. We have officers in our area, not just deputies, but police officers, highway patrol officers, TVA officers, wildlife officers. We have people in our area, officers in our area, that really goes above and beyond to try to serve our community and takes money out of their own pocket to help people and does things to try to better their community. And so in this world that we live in that is so anxious to tear down law enforcement and to try to destroy law enforcement, look around you and see what your law enforcement officers are really doing. They're there to help you. They're there to protect you. And they're there to make the community better. So if you see an officer and you appreciate that officer, please let him know and tell him. And
parents, when you're raising your kids up, make sure they know that the officers are there to help and support them, and they're the folks to call when you're in trouble.
Right.
And they're not the bad guys.
That's right. We're here to help.
All right, folks, have yourself a great day. We're going to end our video feed now.